and I know that we just know each other randomly.
That's not quite
No, but
true.
we don't know each other.
I know, this will be fun. We'll be getting to know each other.
No, but you know what I mean. Like, I'm not going to mention that I'm on a show.
Oh,
that I've worked on
the
Dropout.
trailer comes out soon enough that you can.
Ooh, I can?
Yeah.
Oh.
Can I? It's so cool.
It's on.
Great. We can all start.
Great.
It's so cool that I just shared the trailer. That was it. The teaser.
Oh, the teaser.
I shared the teaser. And Jeff Arcuri's in the teaser.
Yes.
And I then went to the Reddit because I just know it's a thorough group. They don't miss anything. And they said Gianmarco shared this on his stories with no comment. Maybe.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, good. I didn't know.
Sleuths.
You got a lot of secrets to keep. You're going far in advance.
Yes.
When I heard
A trailer for a trailer. Next season there'll be a trailer for a trailer for a trailer.
that's and sometimes that's all you watch.
Yeah.
There's so many times where people talk about a movie and I'm like, I talk about it and I just saw the trailer.
That's all you saw. Yeah,
That's all you saw.
Yeah. These days, it's all you need to see.
They always have that. Remember how that now they have that mini trailer before
Before
the
the trailer,
trailer.
yeah,
Like,
like,
guys,
please watch the trailer.
Please,
Please watch it.
I swear there's going to be an explosion in tits. Just
if
wait
you-
a tiny bit.
And if you don't, it's the whole messaging is right there. So you can sort of say you watched the trailer.
Yeah.
Even if you just.
Yeah, so I do a
accidentally
whole
hung
analysis
over.
based off of those seconds.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we started this live podcast tour. By the time this comes out, we'll be done with it. We started last night.
Congratulations,
It's like a
Mazel.
week. We've done live shows, but this is I worry that we're gonna have to separate because we run out of things to talk. Every time we talked about something in the
Well,
car.
it's not that
Yes.
we're just doing the live shows.
Yes.
It's then because he's been living in LA, I've been in New York.
Yes.
We haven't been able to do tapings, so we're squeezing in tapings. So it's like,
And
and then you have to remember,
yeah.
like, when's this one coming out? What can we talk? Can we be talking?
we
Yeah.
can't go to the next one and be
You
like,
know?
remember that last taping? That was a fucking nightmare.
Yeah,
My
yeah,
God.
yeah.
But at a certain point, you have to live your lives in order to generate the content
Yes.
necessary to create the
He
show.
got lunch without me today, and I said, Russell, you get lunch without spending any money. Figure that out, and then come to the
talk
table.
about
We'll have a
something to
great
talk
story.
about. Yeah.
Maybe you stole, maybe went to jail,
Yeah,
out of the trash can.
Yeah.
This is
I really
what
walked around
happens-
that Whole Foods looking for something to happen to me, and nothing happened. I did have to find a fork, and that took some work, but then I found it.
This is what happens to rappers. Eventually, they just start
Yes.
rapping about rapping because
Yeah.
there's nothing else to rap about.
Speaking of talking about the only thing in your life, I haven't brought up on the podcast. I did have a travel merch disaster.
Yeah.
Where I landed before a college gig, a couple hours. Where was this? Baltimore. And the bag wasn't in the thing, so I started freaking out. Bag comes out. The bottom, huge holes, soaking wet, sopping wet, everything wet inside of it. And I'm like, I'm in a state of shock. I have to go to the college gig. I'm going, I think pretty much straight to the college gig, or who knows. But I go to the baggage claim, and I mean, this is the quality we're talking about. This is my, people are familiar on the show with my Moisture Crunchy towels. It is a hand towel. I know I need to retire it. Actually, let me build. First, this is like the tote bag.
This is
So these are
this is merch.
this is merch. Okay, ready?
Yeah. Oh, that's really.
Now I know you've never seen one. I know you've never seen one before, Sam. This is very different from the
But
condition
what
I saw it in.
happened?
But you could sell it as limited edition.
Yeah,
I already have a limited edition from my
Error
Australia
merch.
tour where they accidentally made tea towels instead of cum towels. Believe me, I'm gonna try.
Yeah.
Downside listeners.
Did they do anything for you?
The fact that you've shown this on the pod means that is now limited edition 1 of 1.
That's true.
What is this going for?
I think at least 100.
Yeah, at least $100. $99.
$99.
Starting bid, auction it.
Just in the
Ooh.
comments of the YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know it's not the people at the airport's fault that this happened, though. Someone did this.
Someone did.
But I know
Someone
whoever
did it.
did this is not working the desk.
Yes. Yeah.
However, you gotta listen. If you're stuck in a bureaucratic trap and there's nothing you can do,
Yeah.
I need you to pull me aside, and because maybe there's cameras and mics, I assume, and say, "Hey, I am powerless. You're right. Here's everything that I can offer, But if you try to talk me into thinking it's not a big deal,
Yeah.
that's triggering for me.
But it's all recorded, so they can't. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're
I
being
once,
recorded.
Slide me a piece of paper.
Over the phone?
In person.
Oh, you're in person.
This is when the Nintendo Wii had just come out. It was a holiday season. It was impossible to get a Nintendo Wii. Impossible. I'm dating. You guys are old enough to appreciate.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
the Wii.
Yeah. I quit video games before college.
Okay.
But I can appreciate. I'm connecting to the PS2 that one Christmas.
Sure.
So I get it.
So I made the mistake of loading up the Wii to take to my wife's family holiday in my luggage that I checked. And we arrived on the other side, and I opened it. And there was no Nintendo Wii. It's simply gone.
Oh.
And I took it back to the luggage, people whose job it is to figure this stuff out. And I was like, my Wii was stolen from the luggage. And their response was, yeah. And I was like, there's a piece of me that
Exactly.
gets that response
Yeah.
at the same time as like, that oughtn't to be
Yeah.
your response.
You know what they said to me? When I got upset, I said, this is, this can't happen.
Yeah.
And they said, you'd be surprised how often it happens. And I was like,
You are a representative
Yeah.
of the company.
and listen,
How often a day are you saying this can't happen? I heard
This-
you. I heard you at 6 a.m. say that to an Uber driver.
Okay.
This can't happen.
You should have seen him. He lands in LAX twice a year. It's the biggest disaster. When we have to walk to the Uber thing, it's like we're on the
I'm
Oregon
carrying
Trail.
all the merch.
No, you're not wrong. But I'm saying I do this every weekend.
Okay.
So yes, I say it a lot.
Yeah.
I there's one time where they go, sir, getting anxious isn't going to help anything. I was like, oh, you misunderstand me. I'm not trying to help. Okay. Look at this.
I just want the experience.
And you know what sucks about merch? Can I tell you what sucks about merch? So they say to
Everything.
me, they say, how much is this worth? Now, can I? I want to explain to them.
Oh, it smells good.
It will smell like this fresh dew, fresh dew and tire marks. They say to me, how much is this worth? Now, I sell them for $20. Now I got to convince them this is worth $20. Now I got to do the bid for them in the room
Yes.
to explain how merch is activated.
Yeah.
Merch is activated. And
Yeah.
so now I'm doing my Moisture
Yeah.
Crunchy registry bid. I wrote this my first year in comedy. I cannot believe I'm still doing it.
Yeah.
I cannot. I did it about your wedding, Russell.
I know.
Your wedding
I
inspired
know.
this gift.
2017.
You're practically at your divorce.
Yeah.
And I'm still doing this. Then if you ever get divorced, believe me, the bid will come back. I want the whiskey decanter back.
Yeah.
So you come off as nice.
Present
so
nice.
You present nice.
You present
Great
nice.
transition.
And famously, comedians that present nice are always nice behind the scenes as well.
Yes.
How mad did you get in that Wii situation? Like, give me the truth.
Immediate defeat. Everything that I portend to be is me. With the possible except there's like a little dark interior, which maybe we'll find in this podcast. Right?
Yeah.
Oh.
But the niceness is almost chronically the case.
So you didn't say
I
you
wish
need a new. I need a new Wii. We need to figure this out. I can't. I'm not leaving.
Figure this out.
There may have been a transaction along the lines of like me being like, but isn't this your responsibility? And then being like, well, if you have insurance, it would be their responsibility. And me going, yeah.
We have to do something as a society, though, because what are we gonna do? We need to do something.
Yeah.
Can we unionize as travelers?
Yeah. This was well
Oh.
before, airlines were as bad as they are today, which is, I think there worse than ever. Probably.
Yeah.
This wasn't pre 9/11, was it?
This was not pre 9/11, but this was, it was the era of the Wii. So that
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
That's a better way to mark. We're like, when was
The
this?
Wii.
I'm pretty sure the Wii was post 9/11. I'm pretty sure we were all doing this in a post 9/11
Yeah.
society.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If the Wii had been there, it never would have happened.
Yeah.
When I went to Mexico, I must have been 6 or 7, and I
Yeah.
don't remember much of it, other than getting braids that I don't know if I'm supposed to. But we went through the security.
Braids?
Multiple braids?
like
Rolls?
dreadlocks.
Dreadlocks?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
This was 90s.
Mm-hmm.
When you went through this, and I think it was in Mexico. I don't think it was America. For their security, there was
Yeah.
there was stoplights, red and a green.
Sure.
And you either got green, you just went through, no check, or red,
Whoa.
And even then, I feel like I was at least old enough to be like, there's a button down there. There's a button down there.
Sure.
My whole family got
Random.
through that easy? Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Interesting. Huh.
So you never get mad. You never yell.
Or what does it look like when you do get mad?
Fuck me.
Your dad was in politics. Surely you saw anger.
Well, I think this is a great sort of point, which is, yes, my dad was in politics. My dad is also 4'11". So I grew up without, I think, sort of the kind of macho standard that a lot of men grow up with. My mother was British. So between my neurotic...
So is Tova's, by the way, my girlfriend.
No
Her mom
way!
yeah, she's getting her British citizenship.
Oh, funny.
But I'm so curious about how it,
I have my British citizenship.
You do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So between my neurotic, tiny Jewish father and my neurotic British mother, anger was not super expressed in our household.
Sure.
I say it was kind of like growing up in a museum where if you were like too loud, you might break something.
Okay.
Yeah.
So can you summarize? Because I did look at your father, and then I'm just not smart enough to remember. I know it covered Clinton. I know it covered all of these things. Is there, if you were to make the movie about his life, what's the log line of your dad's political career?
Oh, whoa. Well, the big log line is he was Secretary of Labor for Clinton.
Okay.
Now, he was a very public Secretary of Labor. So there's lots of other Secretary of Labors that I don't think had nearly the profile that he had. He actually only served the first term. He got out before Lewinsky.
Oh, yeah? He could see where the wind was blowing?
I don't
He's like, something else is coming blowing soon. We got to get out of here.
I knew you were going to try to do it. I was just like, okay.
It's a little clunky, but I kind of got it there.
A little clunky.
Sometimes the verbiage, I have my brain.
Blowing.
It wasn't the wind. I don't think any of us saw that coming.
Oh, okay.
Whose turn is it?
We'll see, not mine.
Come on. Don't leave a stain on this riff. Yes, Ann. Russell.
Take
What
away a
the
point?
judgment? He goes
That's
judgment.
another point away from Giancarlo.
Oh my God. You said Giancarlo, so that's -1 for you.
Oh, no!
This is
I've been-
the downside.
You're listening to The Downside
The Downside.
with Gianmarco Soresi.
It
And
really
the fact
is.
that the first time
I said
would
to my
do that is
girlfriend, I
on
said,
the
baby, I
air.
shouted out your name in bed 100 times in a row. I get it wrong once, and now you're mad?
It really is. People have a strong pull to say Giancarlo. Almost.
Well, you're the only Gianmarco I know. I know
Yeah.
a
Sure.
couple of other.
Yeah.
Giancarlo Esposito.
I know Giancarlo Esposito.
I like Gianluca.
Who's that?
It's just a name.
Oh,
Gianfranco, not a big fan.
no.
Gianluca.
I said a point away because I imagined for a moment we were still on my show, which we're not.
I think, listen, if you guys get big enough, it'll be a religion, and that'll be your version of sin. You lose a point. I could see you becoming a cult leader in a different life.
Well, you've been on the subreddit.
Sure.
So yeah, Dad.
Welcome to The Downside, by the way. This is the show where we
great.
complain, we get negative.
Yeah.
We riff, we have fun, we tell stories. If you're a fan of the show, join the Patreon, patreon.com/downside. You get 2 bonus episodes every month, and we are basically airing most of our live shows from the tour.
Yes.
And you're going to get to watch from there, 1 every month. That's the plan. I'm here with comedian, creator, Dropout CEO, Sam Reich. Game master.
Reich. That's a point away from you. Thank God.
Or did I do that on purpose?
thank-
And it's actually
Thank God.
I don't think you get to you get to give points and you have points. I think you're the point guy now.
Okay, I'll be the
Yeah,
point
I
guy.
think
Okay,
that's right.
great.
I
Yeah.
think that's right.
So that's how much time did you spend at the White House as a kid?
There's a picture of me, I think, at the desk in the Oval Office with like Clinton and my dad and a few other family members like hunched over me. And I think the legend goes that I came out of that morning at the White House. This was like early on in our time in Washington. And I looked up at my dad and I went, it's been like 3 days we've been in Washington, and I haven't seen a McDonald's anywhere. Like, Washington sucks.
Yeah.
It was all lost on me.
Surely Bill Clinton, I mean, wasn't that the phase where people were making fun of Bill Clinton for like putting on weight? That was like his thing. He ate at McDonald's. There's an
that's
SNL
right.
sketch.
There's an
That
SNL
is right.
sketch with
Yeah.
Phil Hartman. Yeah.
Yes.
In the early Clinton days.
Yeah. He is every bit as charming as people say. Like when he looks you in the eye and shakes your hand, it's as if the rest of the world disappears.
Have you ever looked at your dad's political record as an adult and gone, "Oh, that I didn't like that move," or "Ooh, you did that"? Or do you look at like how do you view your
NAFTA?
father's? Yeah, listen. If my dad's decisions in life had an impact on the country,
Sure.
oh boy,
You'd be holding him to task for that?
yeah. I mean, sure. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it'd be a thing.
I think the truth is that it was so hard to carve out an identity in my family that I really turned my back on a lot of that stuff. Like I barely understood it. And I sort of deliberately didn't understand it for a very long time. Even when we were in Washington, like the few trappings of that I really appreciated were Hollywood pieces. Like we went to the premiere of Batman Forever.
Oh,
the Jim
wow.
Carrey Batman.
I know it well.
Highlight of
Yeah.
the experience in DC. In fact, it was after that. You have, for this story to make sense, you have to understand that like all I understood about politics was what my dad brought home, and I knew that Newt Gingrich was like the enemy.
Okay,
That's what I knew. I knew that, and even the name Newt Gingrich
Sure.
just sounds like
it's a gross name.
villain. So it was after the premiere of Batman Forever. We're sort of pouring out onto what's left of the red carpet. And someone says, "Bob," to my dad. And Dad turns around and there's Newt. And of course he makes nice because that's what you do in Washington. But I don't know that. So he turns around and says, "This is my son, Sam." And I fold my arms and I turn around.
Wow. And this was a different time. Back then, that was the highest offense you could possibly.
That's actually, people have traced that back to now the divide between.
Yeah, he started partisanship.
It all happened at Batman Forever.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
The kids are not even.
That's right. Tommy
used
Lee
to be
Jones
able to
was
sit
right
down
there.
and talk at the end of the day. They'd always say that. They'd always be like, they used to hang out and
Yeah.
I mean, my God, the things that my stepfather used to say about Chelsea Clinton.
full
Sure.
child
Child
at
about
the
like
time.
about this child being ugly, and it was like,
Sure.
and I wasn't fully aware enough to be like how bad it was,
Yeah,
how
yeah.
toxic it was.
Yes.
but it is crazy.
Went to my same school in Washington, by the way, Chelsea.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. A lovely, lovely human being. I mean,
on the
she's older
inside.
than I am. Had very
That's a
little
joke
crossover.
from my stepfather. Right?
Oh.
She's beautiful. She's great.
Point.
I mean,
Point.
oh,
Given or taken, I don't know.
Wait, point. You're just going to
I'll
say
let
point
anyone
and you're not going to let us
interpret it.
know?
There's a
one way or
game.
the other?
You get a point. You don't know if it's good or bad until the end of the game. You got to try to figure
I'm
out
gonna
what's
write that
getting the
down.
Oh,
points and
that's
what's not getting the
fun, yeah.
points. Didn't seem like you wrote it down. I was like, for a
I'm
second,
gonna
I was
fake
like,
write that down. Wow.
I bet you. I had a friend, a roommate who worked on the show, What Would You Do, the Hidden Camera show. And every time I'd, from my room, be like, I got it. Okay. And I'd pitch something, and he'd be like, yeah, we did that already. Like, they
funny.
just had done.
Wait, is that how you got on? When you did it?
What do you mean?
Like when you were
Did
an
I
act-
audition through the regular chain of command, and I...
No, I'm asking, like, did you... I didn't know if...
No, he was on it. I definitely greased the wheels.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that
He
part
was
of the
on
story.
What Would You Do?
He was a producer. He was a
You were
segment.
on-
I was on What
Yes.
Would You
What Would You Do?
I was on 3 episodes of What Would You Do.
No.
He pretended he
way.
had what?
Okay, yeah, okay.
What?
Let's warm up to that one.
Okay.
The first one was called Coffee, like people who go to a coffee shop and set up a whole office.
Yeah.
And they had me go in, and I would like put a printer down, and people don't know this hidden camera that poses moral questions, but the longer they go, they've run out of morality.
Sure.
They've moved on
Yeah.
to pure chaos.
Well past.
Now they're pulling from punked.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So I did that one, and I'm pretty sure they, in the earwig, with a microphone in the ear, are telling you to do really push it because they're not always
Yeah.
getting enough content.
Sure.
And I felt like they told me to push it too much. They thought I overacted. But like clearly someone said something's up here. I said, well, maybe the printer. I've never seen someone bring out a printer onto a Starbucks table.
Yeah.
So that was number one. Number two, this is the one that clips sometimes go viral. I was a waiter with OCD, and I
I've seen this.
yeah.
Oh,
I didn't have a
weird.
beard. If you see it, it's me.
No. I've seen this, and obviously I'm aware of you, and now there is a merging happening in my brain of this and you.
When I embody a character, I often disappear within.
Yes. That's
Yeah.
what it is.
And so that one they got a lot of footage of. They had actors being mean to me. It was like interesting because there was one part where this woman started crying, and I went up to her. I said, "What's wrong?" And she said, "I also have OCD." And then he proceeded to come out and go, "He's been faking it the whole time."
Yeah.
And then the last one I did never aired.
Oh.
Yeah.
What was that?
I never told you this one?
I don't think
So
so.
it was like they were setting up they're basically catfishing people.
Yeah.
Again, they've
Sure.
run out of like
Yeah.
the moving
Morality's
ones.
out the window.
And it was very weird because it's a whole shoot date built around people showing up to their dates on time, if showing up at all.
Sure.
So it's like multiple actors. They set up dates. There's a PA on Tinder like coordinating with when they're going to come, when we need to hide. And the thing was like my profile was like a blonde, sports, muscly guy, and then it's just me.
Got it.
And that should be enough. But they're also in the earwig going. The moment I sat down, John Quinones says, ask her about when you're going to have your second date. And I go, so when are we going to have our second date? And she's confused.
Sure.
And then he goes, propose to her. And I'm like, and I'm a young actor.
Oh.
They make very clear this is not improv space.
Yes.
And John comes out. She starts crying, kind of spins it into like, oh, the importance of this is why dating is so hard as a woman.
Yes.
Someone could put you on a prank. The way that they tried to
Sure.
spin it, like we've actually
on a prank
shown a
show.
light
Yeah.
onto how women can be tricked
Yeah.
by capturing it on film.
Oh.
We are. This is an example of what not to do.
Yeah.
And that could be the spinoff. What would you do is now what not
what
to do.
not to do.
And she signed the waiver, but then I heard through the grapevine, mom called, said, "Fuck! How fucking dare you trap my daughter like this?" And they were of the mindset, you just scrap it. You start getting bad pushback.
Got it.
So
This kind of, we try with our show, which has some DNA in common with a prank show, like not to go there, not to go too far into mean-spirited territory. All in the spirit of good fun. We have safe words on Game Changer. I don't know if we had one in your episode.
I do not recall a safe word. I do not recall a safe word at all.
In your episode, partially because you all kind of knew what you were getting into, but we do have.
I could use some safe words in there.
Yeah, we.
I just started crying.
So I only know this because we're in the middle of the edit right now.
Yeah.
And what's very funny is to listen to you right when the game is first introduced. I say, Jeff, it's time to do some crowd work. And he's the first up and you're in the middle and you do this. You go like this. Hell on earth, hell on earth, hell on earth.
Wow.
You talk, you make noises a lot where I don't know if people can hear you sometimes.
Between this, what would you do? I don't know when I'm on mic, when I'm off mic, when
Yeah.
are the voice is in my head, or is it John
Last
Quinones?
night,
I mean, it's crazy.
I had friends in Chicago, and I went out afterwards. And I get back to the hotel at midnight, and I hear
Yeah.
Gianmarco
Yeah.
singing, full voice, sounds like it's
I
in my
know.
room, and I'm like, you're not in the room next to me. And I literally texted him you're singing like at 12:30 at night.
It was-
Singing what?
I was checking a note. My voice was feeling a little gone. And sometimes that listen, I do have mild OCD.
Can I guess what you're singing?
Go for it.
When you're way up high and you look below with the world you've left, you can see
You know
a little
what?
more
You're
than
gonna
friends.
die.
Yes.
This is true. Agony.
Yeah.
Is that actually what it was?
That's what it was.
Was it really?
I recently sang it for a
guessed
show.
The right
Yeah.
music.
I wish I had a high enough voice to be singing "Giants in the Sky." No, you would have been a great Jack.
Thank you so much. I think so too. My brother was Jack.
Really? I didn't know your
Oh,
brother
really?
did theater.
Yeah.
Oh,
He did theater all. So, well, okay.
older,
Yeah.
younger?
3 years older.
Okay.
6 feet tall. Lanky, like kind of your build. He class president, not only captain of the cross country team, but like top in the state for cross country.
Were you at least his Secretary of Labor?
I mean, you know, like,
But he also did
and
he did
and
theater,
did
theater.
and sang and did
Wow.
musicals.
Are you the only two?
only two?
Okay, so at least you're not a middle child on top of all of this.
Oh no.
That I've heard from middle child some rough stories.
Yeah.
Of being forgotten by
Yeah.
the parents.
Yeah, I was gonna say middle child. I don't think so.
Oh, I'm the oldest.
Oldest of.
Of 4 younger half siblings.
Whoa.
So 2 total.
And you?
I'm the oldest.
Oldest
Just one
of?
brother.
One brother.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I don't know enough people. I feel like there has to be some true stereotypes about. I've been trying to write comedy about like oldest versus my oldest sister. She's
Yeah.
my younger sister, but because it's half, she's the oldest sister of the
Of that.
household.
Sure. Of
And
that
I just feel like
trio.
her and my girlfriend, who's an older sister, they're both strong women.
Yeah.
And I feel like it took a second to get on the same page
Sure.
Oh,
Between the two of them.
between the two of them.
Yeah,
But I
yeah, yeah.
feel like it's because they have opinion. They had to run shit.
Yes.
And there are, I guess
Yes.
there's TikToks about the older sisters like this.
Do you think that oldest siblings tend to attract each other into relationship together and youngest? Because my wife is also youngest of 2. And I think we're both.
There must be a
I'm
study
with
of
the
whether there's
younger.
more married.
You're with a younger. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not healthy.
Yeah.
Um,
2 digs. Good Lord.
Where's my point?
Yeah. Point.
No, it's a beautiful relationship.
Yeah.
I don't know. Oldest.
Yeah.
My situation's oldest in a divorce household is different than oldest in a.
Sure.
I'm just fucked up. I always thought when I was a kid, I always felt like if I met someone and their parents were divorced,
Yeah.
I thought that was like something. We had something in common. We knew this all could fall apart.
Because your parents were divorced?
Yeah. We knew it wasn't true love. Please.
Sure.
I do forever.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like early world weariness. Like
Yes.
you in a trench coat on the playground smoking a cigarette being like, you're all a bunch of...
Oh, you don't know how
see the
fragile
world
this
for
all
how
is.
It really is. Yeah.
You don't know.
It'll
It
fall
can be
apart
good
in a
and then
moment.
get bad.
Yeah.
I've seen the
Yeah.
photo albums.
But you never knew it good.
I see that. I've looked at
Oh, okay.
the albums and I see them smiling at least.
You were born in a trench coat.
You were born in a trench coat. You'll die in a trench coat.
I look at these old pictures sometimes and I go,
I would
was my
love-
childhood better than I thought? And I'm like, no, because we were told to smile. I think all photos should be candid.
There's a Japanese word. Is it bakedo? I can't remember. It might be. I might sound really smart right now, or I might sound really dumb. But what it means is, it's not bakedo. What it means is nostalgia for a time you can't remember,
Oh, point.
or like you didn't experience. Thank you very much. Oh, you could have taken it away.
No, I was giving it.
I think we need to simplify. We can't go that advanced. We can go back to the basic point or minus point system. But here's the thing: I'm not keeping track. At the end, we'll
me
tally.
either.
We'll see
Yeah,
what in
we'll
the
have to
edit
just
who
do it.
won.
We'll-
So here you are on stage talking to everyone else about their family trauma, and like you yourself were born into it.
I think
he talks about his trauma. I feel like a good amount.
that's what the podcast is for. And then
Yeah.
on stage, I get their stories. No, I think my I hate to use the word superpower. That feels very corny to say. I think my unique perspective that I bring to comedy is seeing divorce when I was young,
Yeah,
right from the beginning.
yeah,
And then seeing it happen again with my mom and stepdad as an adult.
yes.
And seeing it through the lens of my younger siblings, I feel like I got the beginning of it, 18, that's kind of the range I think it's most impactful.
Sure.
And then I got to watch their experiences in the middle. And I think because of that, I have a and also hearing from divorced parents and an ex-stepfather,
Yeah.
I have like a Rashomon experience of my childhood. And with that, I think you can see the perspective not seen, front view. And I think that's why in the comedy, I lend towards that because I think about it. Oh, your stepfather's an asshole. I think about it from his perspective.
Right.
You look like his wife's ex-husband.
Right. Right.
That's weird.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Did anyone remarry?
Yes. So my dad, listeners have never heard this before. My dad got married. You have got to laugh when I tell a lie, so people know. You have to go.
Yeah. Okay.
It's about to happen.
-1. My dad remarried. Fake. It was a fake marriage.
Okay.
It wasn't like legally speaking. It wasn't real. It was a ceremony for the sake
It was
of.
a What Would You Do episode?
Yeah.
I wish.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for John Quinones to come in and be like, your dad's actually regular. My dad comes out. He's like, son, I understand. And then mom remarried. So they both got remarried once.
Sure.
And then mom stayed with that guy for a long time. So he was my stepfather's stepfather.
Got it.
And then got divorced. And your parents are still... no, your parents are divorced.
My parents are divorced.
I read the Wikipedia. Hello.
When did they
But
get
you were
divorced?
older.
My parents got divorced when I was 21.
Oh, that
this
feels-
was like after we left the house.
Was that shocking to you?
Especially since, Clinton and Hillary, they made it through.
Yeah. They're the gold
I
standard.
mean, say what you will. Say what you will about
Yeah.
that messy marriage. They're still together.
Yeah.
Sure did.
Yeah.
I think it was one of those instances where it was like the family dynamic kind of imploded a little bit once the kids left the house. Kind of
Sure.
thing.
Yeah.
It was very shocking, particularly the way that the information came out. My parents
really?
were, speaking of the anger thing or like the lack of confrontation, they seeded this idea to us slowly over months and months. Where first it was like, we've decided to live on separate coasts.
Oh.
That's where it started.
That's where it started.
Yeah.
Did you have follow-up questions, I imagine?
I mean, for sure, follow-up questions, right? Like,
What'd you
what's going on? And then at some point, it was like my mom made mention of the fact that the money was separated.
Oh.
And then I went, well, wait a second. That sounds a lot like you're not in a marriage anymore. And
I think you
her-
should have had it by
See,
the first part. That first piece of information was enough
No,
for me.
honestly,
kind of a
would've
loaf.
Me, I would have been like, are you in trouble with a lot? Like, I would spin some sort of
Sure,
like
sure. Witness protection program.
divorce would seem so crazy to me. That phrasing in that
Especially
weird
there
way.
in politics,
Yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah.
And
In politics, too, I'd be like,
and
something's
adding
wrong.
the financial element, we have different finances. You're like, oh, is
Yeah.
like he about to be in trouble with like the law? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, listen, who joined Bill on those island trips, you know?
Yeah.
Who knows where your mind goes?
Yeah.
Your father was definitely not.
was
checked
not
the
with
full-
Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, I
You checked the
I checked
manifest.
the full
Checked the
logs.
You read
Before
the Wikipedia.
Every
It would
guest
have
we
been on
have
the
on, I go
Wikipedia.
through those logs.
Yeah.
I got one of those binders at the White House the other day, and I go through those logs, and I go,
I
okay.
read the Epstein log every night,
I mean,
checking it.
yeah. I mean, unfortunately, like it's for the best that he was not a part of the Epstein scandal.
Was that weird for your dad? Do you think to have a son who was that much taller than him?
I don't know. I mean, like I outgrew my dad when I was I think 13.
Was your mom
know?
tall?
My mom is like 5'5".
Oh,
So
Any other
what?
relatives you want to check?
I was just curious.
But on her side on my mom's side of the family are the giants.
But your father had
Six
this was in the Wikipedia too. Did he have a
Yeah.
condition that
Fairbanks disease.
Fairbanks disease?
Yeah. So this is what Danny DeVito has. I think
Oh.
him and Danny DeVito are actually the most popular examples that people point to for this disease.
Was there a Fairbank? Because I feel like they should change. It was DeVito's disease.
Great question.
Yeah.
They should update these sometimes when
should.
someone
Yeah,
more
yeah,
famous.
yeah. When someone more famous comes along,
Yeah,
yeah,
can you imagine the
DeVitos.
PR agent being like,
Yeah.
"Don't worry, we name the new disease every year."
Totally. But imagine the disappointment, like when you have to call the other person.
Of course.
Yeah.
But also, because we're in show business, we know that is also how it probably works. There's
yeah.
debates over who gets to
Yeah.
name the disease.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm sure Tom Cruise, I'm sure if he got something,
Sure.
they could change the name.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So Fairbanks disease, how
So,
common is
yeah.
this?
It's very rare.
Yeah.
It's a type of dwarfism. I guess the reason it's not like other types of dwarfism is that you're sort of proportional to a someone without this disease, right? So like to look at my father, like giving a speech, you wouldn't necessarily know unless you were to look at someone standing next to him.
I see.
That he was, that he had any kind of condition. So people are very surprised when they meet him.
Sure.
In person who, oh, wow, like this looks like a disability, which
And
I didn't
dwarfism
realize.
is a bigger umbrella that this is under?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did he have like handicap parking?
He did, I think, for unrelated reasons, which was that this condition meant that his cartilage would break down. So he had to have hip replacements young, like in his 40s. And I think he got a handicap sticker like as a part of that but then wouldn't take advantage of it because he's also very prideful.
Is like, for example, if your dad couldn't reach something, would he call your brother over, or would he fucking build a ladder? Like, what kind of guy was he?
I think the honest answer to your question is he wouldn't reach for it.
Yeah.
It just
I don't
wouldn't
need it
be-
that bad.
It wouldn't be reached for.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh God.
But I so the lineage as it passed down to me was like, so he grew up with a mother and a grandmother, Jewish mother, Jewish grandmother, who told him that because of his size, and I'm not saying communicated this like subtly or subtextually, communicated to him, in order to compensate for your size, you need to be exceptional. You must be exceptional. I think my grandmother, his mother, even said to him, like, you are going to be president of the United States.
Ooh, really?
Yeah.
That is so much. That's a crazy thing to say to a kid. Period.
Yes.
Like, if you
He's
really
like-
think about
he's
that,
like
super intense.
that's such a burden.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and both my parents came from like really intense career-oriented, like families. But when my brother and I were born, they were like, we're not going to pass this on to our kids at the same time as they themselves were workaholics. And so the example that was shown to us was like super, super, super worky all the time. And I think both my brother and I kind of inherited that. Both of us are I would say both ambitious and not, and also feel a bit icky about using that word about ourselves.
Yeah.
But you told me that they didn't want to instill that. Like, were they like,
No.
hey, chill? And you guys were like,
It was like, school isn't the most important thing in the world, and then they themselves would be working until 2:00 in the morning. And we'd be like,
Yeah.
Is it not? Is it not though?
sure. Were you a good student? Were you more, because
Not really.
No.
No. And I dropped out, as you would have read.
But you dropped out in college?
No, I
In-
dropped out of high school at the age of 16.
Wow.
And got my GED, aced it,
Yeah.
and then never went to college.
How hard is a GED? If I took it right now?
You'd be fine.
Really?
Really?
You'd pass, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
God, I hope so. Some of that stuff, it's slipping.
You'd do poorly in some sections.
Which sections do you think I would do poorly in?
Couldn't even name them. No,
I'd nail the crowdwork
math.
section.
like geometry,
Yeah.
right? You'd probably do poorly in geometry.
You just said you were bad at math the other day to me, didn't you?
No, I said that thing of like, doing the tip and being like, but what my is your peak.
Yeah, no.
Math
I'm
was good. Math I wasn't great, but I was good.
Yeah,
I was
sure.
honors. I was at the bottom of the honors class.
Me
That's
too.
how I
Me
how I
too.
feel.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's a nice spot to be, bringing up the rear of the exceptional kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
You'd never want to be the smartest in the room.
sure.
Yeah, no. I always felt like math was frustrating because there's so many things we could have done with math
Yeah.
that would have maybe been more helpful than like proofs. You know?
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not in NASA. I'm never gonna be in NASA.
Yeah.
What am
You're
I
talking about
proving
geometry
here?
proofs?
Yeah.
Or you're
Do you know what I
talking
mean?
about-
Like,
The
Yeah,
thing
yeah.
you need for NASA. You need to show.
someone's
You need
using
to
those
prove that
proofs.
these two angles are the
NASA's
same.
right. NASA.
I just think about like the age
could
where
be
it's
right.
like it would have been better to have done trigonometry for 3 years in a row so I would remember a little bit of it now.
Yeah.
But the things I don't remember, it's a long, diverse list.
For sure.
It would have been better to know one.
Yeah.
I don't even think I know what trig is.
Sine, cosine.
Yeah, don't know.
Oh, what's the third?
Sine, cos. What do you mean?
Sine, cosine.
Pythagorean theorem.
Sine,
Cosine.
cosine.
I leave
Also
off
sine.
Tan.
I can solve for x. I can move
also
the
solve
things
for
around.
X.
Yeah, we
I
can
also
all do
solve for
that.
X.
Okay.
We have an incredible CFO who is playing around with Excel in front of me, and I'm and I'm like, oh my god, you are so smart.
You ever
My
learn a
God.
new shortcut in like Word and you're like, the time I could have saved.
The time I've given
The
over
time
to
I
my
could have
life.
saved.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
I've wasted my life.
Oh my god, Command F. Oh my god,
I've wasted
what?
my
I'm
life.
Searching. I can search.
What's
Yeah.
Command F?
Oh, in Excel.
I know.
Okay, sorry.
It was a joke.
I don't know.
It's like a
I don't know how
discover.
often you're using Excel.
I'm saying
as
like I
a
would discover
stand-up
it. I was
comedian.
going to do
Oh,
it.
I see.
I was going to go like,
Okay, point.
thank you. Good. You got to really argue. If you bully him
I feel
enough, he'll
like-
give you the point.
I feel like I have a very close seat to a double band act.
I thought of a new end to our Downside Next live tour,
Yeah,
and
next
it's
time.
so goddamn
Next
good.
tour.
Oh,
It's like I paid for as front row as you can get.
No,
yeah, right,
actually, in
'cause
Chicago they were closer last night.
Is that a
it
fact?
was upsettingly close.
Yeah,
Damn.
it's a cool venue, Lincoln Lodge.
Love it.
But it was like I said to do like a sex joke felt like I should get consent.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah,
felt
yeah,
very
yeah.
like
that intimate.
Yeah.
really
Yeah,
intimate.
yeah,
Okay, so you weren't a great student. When did you?
Is this the shape this podcast normally takes? Where is it?
You're
is it
bad at this?
autobiographical? Because I just want to make sure that I don't sound very self-indulgent. Right?
No, I'm pushing.
No.
No, it can be childhood based. It could be.
Okay.
You could-
Here's
any
another.
wild
How-
conspiracies you have, throw that out.
let me ask this. Okay, so how tall are you?
5'6".
5'6".
Yeah.
Okay.
And a half.
Sure.
You can't say that, even though it's true. It
No, you
sounds
can't say it.
defensive. You know, and it is defensive. It's like it's so important to me that you know about the half.
Well, you should just say 5'7".
I'm also not going to do.
Because if you get caught in the lie,
Oh God forbid.
you get there was some
What kind of
audition
lie
rooms-
is he getting caught in?
audition-
Having to go through
You're
a door?
licensed.
Okay.
You get caught. The cops arrest you, and they go, "How tall are you?
Oh,
5'7", 6." Yeah.
Yeah.
There are. Okay, here's a total switch. It's pivoting from autobiographical.
Oh wow.
There are a lot of guys out there that I know that are shorter,
Yeah.
and the rage that it has built up in them.
Oh man.
The
Okay.
And let me just say the only thing that I'll say is that it's become hacky, and I know so many hacky comedians who do the thing of like, women go, "How tall are you? How much do you weigh?" And it's like you can't say that, can't say that,
Yes.
but you can, and you can change your weight, can't change my height, all these things.
Yep.
Were there any points in your life that you felt like your height, you were being treated differently or looked down upon metaphorically, or you felt that I just feel like there's so many guys,
Yes.
and especially in stand-up comedy where I'm
Yeah.
like, you're doing stand-up comedy because you're mad about this,
Yes.
and that's why that's set your whole career.
Yeah, comedy does attract, I think, some of those people. I don't think I'm one of those people. I think part of the reason why I don't have more of that latent anchor is, well, it's twofold. The first of which is I grew up with a father who was real short. So I never felt short next to him.
Sure.
Like that's what short looks like. The second is that I met my wife in summer camp.
Sure.
And you know, there was a brief hiatus, a couple-year hiatus of our relationship in New York when we were in our early 20s. But I have been in a loving relationship for so long
Yeah.
that I never accrued that vitriol for the opposite sex. You know, I just didn't have that much opportunity to experience rejection.
Sure.
I also think, you know, maybe kind of watching my father navigate the world, he was so gregarious and he was so charismatic
yeah.
that like I just, you know, took that on and kind of, I feel like that helped me navigate the world by imitating him,
Sure.
basically.
I like that.
Yeah.
I'll tell that to this one comedian I have in mind right now. I think about him a lot. Luckily, it only takes up a little space.
It's such a self-fulfilling prophecy, though, isn't it? I mean, everybody has just got to work with what they got.
Well,
Yeah.
there is, of course. I think there's sometimes in our I hate to use the word liberal as like the general thing, but it is
Sure.
it's the easiest until we come up with a better one.
Sure.
Where there was in the last 5 or 6 years a greater allowance of a woman to maybe type out if you're like some statements that out loud were hurtful.
Sure.
All men are trash. Short
Sure.
6'2" or only. And
Yeah.
the only thing I say to the one thing I want to say to the men, especially when they bring up weight, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, you thought no women were dealing with people talking about their weight for the history of humanity?
Yeah.
You just got a slight smidgen of a taste of like why we shouldn't be cruel.
Yes.
And your reaction was to just, well, fuck everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just so, but that's the problem with my bit is like the stand-up comedy version. I'm like, you think that wasn't on the table, that wasn't discussed?
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh my God.
The viewpoint of like, well, this is a double standard, or like the people's relationship to hype being a deal breaker for them. It's like I get the bitterness. Like I know where that would come from. I think the problem is that like if you assume it's true about everyone, then you're generalizing in a really dangerous way. And you're probably accidentally closing doors that would be open otherwise.
I always remember sometimes I'd be at something and someone would be like, oh, I would never date an actor. And I think that's the only time I've ever been offended in my entire life. I think that's when I knew like, oh, that's my people.
That's the thing.
That's my people above, truly. That's my people above my gender, my race, my clearly some guys, they go to the race. But I was like, I'm like, oh, that offends me because you don't understand what my people have to go through. We're annoying because we don't know when our next job is, and we doubt our validity. And I love what our friend Douglas always says about when people talk shit about actors. He goes like, yeah, you're making fun of us, but like then you're watching our TV show. You're watching TV, and like we like bring all the color to your life. And you're shitting
when you're
on
relaxing, or what you do is you seek out stories, you seek out things. You like it's like a crazy thing to but it's like we always say, it's that thing of like you either have to be the most famous person in the world to be a respected part of that thing, or if they don't know,
Well, that's why.
But that's why I'm always like, whenever someone asks a question like that, like, what have I seen you in? And then I ask them what they do, and it's like, I'm a teacher or a doctor or whatever. I'm like,
what have you ever taught me?
What have you taught? What's the most famous thing that you've ever taught? Or
cosine, sine, what's the third?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I mean, maybe it's like because when we see actors, we're just not seeing actors. Like we're seeing their roles. So it's like, no, we're seeing like doctors and firemen and heroes and villains. And then it's by the time like the mist dispels, it's like, oh, there's an actor left.
Yeah.
Gross.
It's hard, especially like the longer I do it, I go, I might know a stand-up comedian who does cruise ships, and no one will ever see a Netflix special from them. But I'm like, but they work, and they're working, and they're serving a function.
And you're going on vacation and watching them. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
what else are you gonna do? What else are you gonna do? And if they're good, wow, you got a good show on that cruise. You're lucky. They would have given you a bad show, no problem.
Yeah.
I've been rolling with this traveling circus for so long, though. I feel like that I'm just in a big group of them, and they're all dating each other. Nobody seems to. I mean, but that's the thing about being in LA. It's basically like being in a theater summer camp.
Don't make me move here even faster than I already am.
Theater, summer camp.
It really is.
Summer
It
camp.
really is.
So
without enough of an itinerary. That's what it is.
Oh God. No, I never
Find
did.
a way to say health food in that sentence, and he'll really be like,
hey, listen.
Oh, I know.
I did not do booty. Summer camp.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did my research. I told you. That wasn't on the Wikipedia. Yeah, I know. Listen.
Wow.
That's the Boston Conservatory Summer Camp.
Yeah, Boston University Theater Institute.
Boston University Theater, booty, yeah. I did one called, everyone called it TIT, and it was Musical Theater Institute for Teens.
Was that in Maryland?
Fuck you, we're 14.
No,
Most of us never seen a tit. It's still funny to us.
Booty and tits.
Booty and
I guess
tits.
I forgot that you were children coming up with that name. I was thinking you like adults.
you thought
called it, tit. It's a middle school theater camp. I was like, ugh, like. I forgot that you were a teen coming up with that. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, it's more appropriate.
My sister, who we're about to, she's actually will be in an episode by the time this comes out. She was part of a dance team where the choreographer, her first name started with a C.
Yeah.
And 50 Cent was big then, G Unit, so they went C Unit.
Oh,
now
sure.
can you see where this is going?
Yep.
Their hair was very long, and they do all these moves where suddenly they turn around and suddenly it was 20 girls with cunt on their back.
I see it.
And it was glorious.
That's funny.
Oh God. So how many theater camps did you do? Or
Did I do 2?
2? What's the other one?
The other one I did was Walnut Hill School for the Arts.
In Philly?
No.
What's that?
It was in Massachusetts.
Massachusetts,
It still
okay.
is. It's a boarding school for like a boarding conservatory school for kids during the school year. Then it becomes a summer camp during the summer. And that was actually huge for my self-esteem.
Of course.
Because like going from like, high school, I went to a prep school that sounds like a law firm, Buckingham Brown and Nichols School in Cambridge, Massachusetts, where like academically I was so subpar compared to everybody else. To go from there to a camp where it's like what I do is social status.
Mm-hmm.
Huge for me. What did I do that summer? I was Billy in Anything Goes that summer.
Excellent.
We did a play called The Visit.
The one that
Dernmach?
But the one that Kander and Ebb made a musical.
Is
Visit
that right?
Yellow Shoe? Or is The Visit? What is it about?
It's about a guy who it's a woman who hasn't been in a town for a long time returns home to the town and says that she'll give the town an infusion of cash if they just kill this one dude.
Yeah, and it's her ex someone who spurned her, a lover spurned her. Yeah, I saw Cheetah Rivera. It was one of Kander and Ebb's last musicals. They turned that into a. That's
awesome.
Yeah. Oh, theater's so important.
Yeah.
As society crumbles, I'm like, it'd be good for everyone to see how a town can commit a horrible moral injustice. Like, it'd be great for us all to go see this instead of watching episodes of The Downside on loop.
That play is about cognitive dissonance.
Yeah.
It is about how smart people convince themselves of stupid things. It's really powerful.
I was watching today. You've been watching the Jubilee episode that just dropped. We had a guest who told us the problem with Jubilee, and I do understand it, but it was Sam Cedar just debating 20 conservatives, and it's.
Oh.
Yeah.
I saw or heard someone. Post
it's a useless exercise, but it just makes you feel. It makes you feel like we're fucked, man. We're fucked.
Christ.
I didn't watch any of it.
I think Dropout could do a version of, but like a nice one. Like they debate what's your favorite color. That's my parody version of Dropout.
Explain gray to me.
Sweet.
Yeah. Explain gray to me. How could that be?
I think Brendan probably could.
Yeah, Brendan.
Hour long
for sure.
about gray.
Oh my God.
Different
you
kinds
just
of
get
grays.
that snowball rolling.
Yeah. So you were you a talented theater kid at that age? Like, were you a star?
I think I was fine, probably.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. Those VHSs exist somewhere. It'd be terrifying to go look at them.
We compared recently. Russell says he's a very brilliant actor and comedian, and but in 8th grade, not so much.
Yeah. Well, okay.
And we
Have you
debated.
gone back
we said
and looked?
He thinks he found it later.
I had a friend who listens to The Downside who actually sent Gianmarco video. She had video of like 8th grade me doing Tevye in Fiddler on the Roof.
I don't know if you can tell.
Not Jewish, and
I know that only
also
from
not
listening.
a 45-year-old man.
Sure.
I played Tevye 3 times before the age of 22.
That's
So that is like that's my extent of my knowledge of
God. We love that musical, don't
the
we?
Jewish people is.
You didn't know you did it 3 times.
I did it in middle school. I did it in high school, and then I did it in college.
I'm not sure it's like particularly helpful for Jewish stereotypes that we have a bunch of like non-Jewish children singing "If I Were."
Yeah.
And you should. I see this video, and this is the first one, I guess, 8th grade. Here's the whole song goes, "If I were a rich." Yabba dabba dabba.
Well, I told you at the time I forgot the words. And you just sang "We did 9/11." No. No, I did. I just started like doing like gibberish for like a whole verse. Yeah, I was just but it was like during the part where it was like, "Oh, name won't lay the like like it was not during the thing. People are like, "Is he speaking Yiddish?" No. But no, I was bad. We watched this video and I was like, "Oh, so much worse than you remember."
And the difference is, I think I was better in 8th grade.
Yes.
I don't think I've improved since.
What?
I think that
you've gotten worse.
No. I think I plateaued.
Baby.
I look at it and I go, same choice I'd make today.
What plays or musicals are we talking about in your case?
Okay. Thank you. I was per Chicken Fiddler on the Roof in 7th grade because they had to give the lead to an 8th grader. I was Music Man, Harold Hill in 8th grade. Nice. Great role. An experience where I felt like a newborn confidence.
Yes.
I remember doing 76 trombones at the Sitz Probe, and just like I was like walking around like goofing with people, and I just king of the world.
It's a good role for you, by the way.
Very
Even
good.
now.
Very good. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, God. Jeff Goldblum did at Community Theater once. Hugh Jackman did recently, and together.
Yeah.
Damn.
I did Seymour and Little Shop of Horrors, which you've been great, Seymour.
Oh, thanks.
Do you? What tenor? Baritone?
I would go a little higher than you would imagine. I was like, I was in tenor territory. Who knows if I would be today? Probably not.
What note would you be nervous to sing if you were in high school? Were you like, oh God, I gotta hold a?
You're assuming a level of. I have no clue.
Oh yeah, you're like drumline. You don't read it. You just.
No, I would just listen to it. I wouldn't read it. I don't know how to read music.
Not at all.
Play 3 instruments and I don't know how to read music. Yeah.
Oh my God.
What instruments?
You look so sorry for me right now.
No, because it was more sorry for myself because I can read music. I can't play a fucking thing.
There you go.
I can pluck it out.
It's like we're two halves of a medallion.
Yeah. What do you play?
I did 6 years on drums. I did 5 on the piano, and I've like almost always played guitar. I'm less good than you would think I should be for those amount of years.
On the piano though, you were just it was like mainly like ear, like because you were if you're not reading.
That's
jazz.
Crazy though.
Yeah.
Oh. That feels like a genius thing. I had to be like, well, this one, that one, this one.
Sure.
Wow. What musical are you connecting with these days? Are you still indulging? Are you still listening?
Oh, okay.
I don't think I realized how I don't think I knew how much of a theater kid you were. I said with the gaming, I go, how much time in the day? I mean,
get this, what a theater kid I am. Last year, I saw 50 plays.
Oh,
I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
What?
I went to London. I saw like 13 things in London when I was there. Went to the Edinburgh Fringe. Probably majority of those are the Edinburgh Fringe, which I know Chris is trying to convince you both to go.
Oh, sure.
Yes.
For the love of God, go.
Come on. That's like if I said to you, go. Who's
do.
gonna mind the things? You're going for the whole month?
Of course not.
That's exactly. So that's what I said to Chris. I said, I'm going to try to go for a week. I am trying to go for a week. And Chris says, no, you got to go the whole month. I go, Chris, I'm not doing the whole month in anything anymore.
No, of course.
I haven't done anything for a whole month.
But do go for the week.
I do. I will.
Yeah.
It's going to be seeing more than one show in a day. That's a lot.
I see 5 shows in a day.
Ooh.
6 if I'm really pushing it. Yeah.
I just be caffeinated.
Yeah.
I struggle with sleep my whole life. The only place I don't struggle to sleep, watching a show. Truly, it's infuriating.
It will happen. You'll be there and you'll be like, uh-oh.
It's the worst feeling because sometimes there's nothing you can do. I'll pull my hair.
Yeah.
I'll try to hold my breath.
Yeah.
I remember seeing Cynthia Nixon in with the play about cancer, Wit.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I felt bad, but it was just that thing where you're like, you're literally like grabbing your leg, like just fucking stay awake, you know? I don't think it was her fault. I just was tired that day. And you're in a theater and sometimes it's so quiet.
Totally.
And it's like, you feel everyone else to it. Oh, man.
Yeah. It can be really rough. I just love the sport of it. The best thing I saw in the last year was Sarah Snook in Dorian Gray.
Oh yeah.
Which is coming to Broadway.
Yes,
in May.
now.
It's really good.
It's the most interesting piece of theater I've seen in like years and years and years.
Yeah.
Because even to call it theater feels wrong. It is a filmed production that's happening like live on stage in front of you. It is wild. It
sounds good.
Wild. Can't recommend it enough.
Yeah, because a lot of the actors I remember when I saw the call for it are like they were asking for people with camera experience. Like
yeah.
Do you see a lot of shows with Chris? Because Chris clearly loves. It's not that I don't love it. I'm just anxious about time and like it's just And so Chris came when he did the podcast. He was like, you got to see this production of The Great Gatsby. They read the whole book, and I was like, oh my god, the whole book. He's like, there's an intermission, and you go to dinner, and it's two. And I was like, I'm never seeing this. And Chris, it sounds cool in theory.
Yeah. The reason why Chris is such a great resource in so many ways is that he has seen so much theater and experienced so much of art in his life. He's like someone who's done a ton of like hard drugs, and now he only gets off on the weird shit. So he's like, you have to do horse tranquilizers in Aspen while you're skiing down the mountain, and you're like, what? And then it's fun like following him into the dark that way. Yeah, he's led me to a lot of very cool, weird places.
Oh, yeah. I like some good weird theater.
Yeah,
as long as it's interesting.
Oh my god. 2 years, I think it's every year, so it's there this year too. There's a play in the Edinburgh Fringe called Temping, and what the play is it's in an empty shipping container. Well, it's not empty. You go into the shipping container. It's a play for one. It's just for you, and you sit at a desk in a cubicle, and the play is what happens to you via the emails you get on the computer and the phone calls you get as the temp.
I love it.
I know. Awesome.
I know Russell hates it.
I don't hate it.
Russell's going, am I doing a job?
Yeah.
I know you.
I have a
For me, I've never had a real job, so I'm like, this is
whoa.
Cool.
Let me play a
role. How the other 99% lives.
I love that you're on the 1%. Gianmarco is the 1%.
I do that. I tell people like, I've worked a job. Yeah. I worked an hour and a half last night. It's crazy. Yeah. That sounds amazing. It's awesome. Financially unsustainable as the show.
I have no idea how they do it.
I love it. Of course I love that. It's like you basically get to be the lead of a show.
It's so funny. I try to evaluate why that kind of stuff bothers me. Sure. I'm trying to make it bother me less because I'm like, that's not, I remember being in music school and being so mad about what's his name's piece, 44 minutes and 33 seconds, where basically I can't remember who the composer is, famous composer, but like the person comes out on stage, puts the sheet music on the piano, opens it up, and then sits there for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. Yeah. And I remember we had to read about it and talk about it.
I hear that immediately. I go, that's beautiful. I don't even know what it means.
I feel rage. I feel cool trick. You piece of shit. Like, it makes me so mad. I'm trying to be less mad about it.
But I actually agree with you. I think just because it takes this big of a risk, it doesn't mean it works.
Yeah.
And I feel very clear when I experience this stuff, no matter how avant-garde it is. It's like, you tried something. Did it work or did it not work? It's very exciting if it does. I give you credit if it doesn't. Mm-hmm. But temping works as a show.
Yeah.
I can understand the frustration. The problem with things that are, because I would consider that alt, in its own way.
Yeah.
It's something about it as alt. And I think like for alt to function well, you have to maintain the spine of regular and normal to play off of.
There's a great,
the moment you lose that, suddenly you go, could I hear a fucking song on the piano? The whole concert can someone just play? And it happens with stand-up comedy, of course. Yes. I look at Maria Abramovich, and like I see some pieces where I go like brilliant, and others where I go like, oh, that's just not her best work.
Totally.
There's a great book about this called Hitmakers, and the premise of Hitmakers is any hit, like big hit that's come out in any category, you can kind of call exactly like everything that came before it in this category with one thing fundamentally changed. That like a hit is innovative in one way. It's not innovative in every way.
I wish I'd heard this before I recorded my comedy special. I'm like,
Before you did it
I'll
underwater?
make it black and white.
Yeah.
Make it upside down.
Yeah. Oh,
Underwater in front of
we'll have
clams.
yeah.
The captions will actually be biblical passages.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm cooking. I can do it in the edit.
That is my favorite in comedy stand-up specials. Like the what people decide to put in the first 3 minutes.
Oh.
It's always.
My plan is I'm starting right on the line. I'm starting right on the joke.
Okay, great.
Oh,
I
interesting.
love that.
I we'll see if it changes in the edit. We have not gotten to that stage yet, but I did a 15-minute mini special, and it ends with one part, and I start this with that same line, and it's cool for me.
Yeah.
We made fun of this in the episode that Gianmarco's in of Game Changer, where we have a whole pretentious intro before the episode
good.
begins.
Yeah.
Oh my God, do you?
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
Just they're so serious, and then they're just stepping out. People are going crazy. They're serious backstage.
Totally. It's like the people doing the bro hugs in the green room.
Yeah.
Like, you got this, man. You nervous? Okay.
Yeah. But then the best one of last year was Ellen's. That was so funny to me. I kept waiting for it to be a bit. I was like, this will turn into a bit.
It's just it really walks through her fame, and then there's just this montage of right as she's walking on stage, the images of the tweets and all the stories coming out. Whoa, and all the bad stuff.
Okay.
And
but it takes her whole career, so it's her being oh, she's on Carson. She's like, and you see her watching it. She's like, yeah, I like that. And then they show oh, she came out, but she's losing the TV show, and then she's like, that's sad. I remember that.
So
and then it's
reacting.
she's king of daytime, queen of daytime, and then she's like, yeah, I like that.
As she's about to walk on stage,
watching her watch her whole life, and you're like, what is this like?
And again, it's you just know too much that you're my version. If it was what I was actually thinking before stage, I'd be like, I need to take a shit.
Yeah.
No, it's too late. It's too late.
Yeah.
Fine. That would be the whole thing. Just vacillating between.
Shit,
No, I do have enough time
Should
for
I
a
take a
shit.
shit?
No,
I
think
ate too
I'm
much.
fine.
I ate too much sushi.
I ate too much shit. That
I should try.
That's what I should.
Yeah, you're just shoveling sushi. That should be your thing. Is just shoveling.
Show people what I'm really doing before the show.
I should try to shit.
Yeah.
Just try to shit.
Yeah, that's very funny. I don't know how I've had to know about this thing. You must have. Do you really have a good line in your head of what things you're talking about? What you're not allowed to talk about, what you're saving, what's a secret? Do you have it in your head?
Oh,
in terms
the show?
of you just have so much.
Yeah,
you
There's
play
a lot of
with
secrecy around
you play with that. You play with the little hint, the little tease, the Easter egg.
For sure. Especially because the audience is so ravenous that we have
to
be careful about what we do or don't do, say or don't say at any moment. Especially because the show is a secretive show. Every season, there's a laundry list of ideas. We go, we can't really figure this out right now. We'll punt it to a future season. I have to not talk about those ideas in case I want for folks to do it.
Right.
The show feels like a conspiracy, like an actively unfolding conspiracy. And I think I'm used to that partially because even just to be a responsible corporate executive, there's always certain walled off things. The moment I say that, I can watch the math going on in your head. Where's the hole?
I told myself before this because I was like, I could turn this into a business podcast. I'm so fascinated by all the guts of Dropout.
We can do it for 5 minutes.
Well, I think the thing that I'm more interested in it because this is the downside, is there is an ability to curate and really mold at a certain size, and I think about Netflix, and I think about I think they announced today that Kill Tony is going to be on their platform, and that just makes me reflect off of them being the platform that put Hannah Gatsby on the map, and then brought Chappelle, and then Hannah wrote a letter saying basically "fuck you" to Netflix, and then Netflix, I imagine, gave her a very good deal that included another special and a series of comedy specials where they got to present transgender and non-binary comics, and then but then suddenly you go suddenly a platform becomes so big. I mean, Netflix, there's a humor, of course, to the idea that Netflix is putting out the Chappelle specials and the Hannah Gadsby. And meanwhile, there's all these people fighting underneath it. They're all getting paid from the same person.
Right.
And
that's interesting. That's really interesting.
Yeah. And at a certain point, you just have to give up. I think if the common, it's so crazy. Just being in show business, and then you see how the general population thinks it works. Like recently, Skylar Higley, who's done the show, he's a writer and he writes for Conan a lot, and he wrote for the Oscars, and he wrote the Drake pedophile joke that Conan did, citing Kendrick's song, and you see people go, this is a big conspiracy. This is Hollywood elites trying to soften the word pedophile so when they get accused of pedo. And I go, I know the guy who wrote it, and it was just a thought he had, and they pitched it.
Yeah.
But also in the same vein, I go, if people understood how agents represented, someone once commented on something like, someone fired their agent or got dropped by their agent, said, who's your agent? I'm going to avoid all their clients. And the agency was UTA. And I was like, good luck, buddy. You're not watching anything ever again.
Yeah.
You have no idea how the world works. Yeah. And you're coming up with conspiracy theories. You won't even learn the fucking basics of how it functions financially.
Yeah.
But Dropout's doing very well.
I like you. That's your attempt to pivot into like my optimism.
My
wavelength. Yeah. I mean, I will say it is a really good thing that I have Dropout, because I think that I was and would be miserable. See, I'm using the word miserable. I'm meeting you at your level.
Thank you.
In this industry, the way that it offers itself to people like me. I kind of loathe the industry. I kind of do.
Sure.
I kind of loathe Hollywood and everything that it stands for.
Do you still pay for auditions, by the way?
Yeah.
Oh, I brought this up on a podcast episode. This is why I love. So, okay, there's revenue sharing for people who perform on the app. They pay for auditions. We had this huge debate.
Yeah.
And I've always been an advocate of paying for auditions.
Yeah, of course.
And it was me and my friend Chris. He really disagrees with me.
Yeah.
And of course, politically, we're not always aligned too. But
is Chris a producer?
No, he's an actor.
So like,
he's an actor. He's like those fucking guys that say Jeff Bezos deserves every cent he got. We fight about a lot. No, here's the argument. Let me be him. I think I can embody his argument. Okay, if you pay for auditions, that's going to limit the amount of people that you see, and there's going to be no entry point. Ultimately, what you're going to do is you're just going to strengthen the agency's abilities to submit their own clients. Agents, so you have to be with the three even to get in the room, because people aren't going to spend the money on some nobody. So you're destroying the system of discovery.
That's an interesting point. Although I would argue it is the system already doesn't work. Like,
people still get discovered?
Barely. I mean, people are getting discovered thanks to the internet more than they're getting discovered thanks to cattle call auditions. Are you fucking kidding me?
Sure, but how is anyone even going to get into the room? The agents, by the way, they're going to get rid of auditions. Ultimately, we're going to create this for a system is where it's direct offer, because they go, I don't want to fucking pay, $3,000 to find out this role.
You think $3,000 matters to these people?
Sorry,
just to let you know, 9 minutes.
Sure, I think we'll go a little bit over too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's all good. And you can keep this in the edit, just so you know. You don't have to take this out.
We'll go over because the conversation's too scintillating.
Keep doing your Chris impression.
Okay, yeah. So we're equally Italian, but okay. Sure, they don't care about it, but they're not paying the money to the casting director, so they clearly aren't allocating money to this thing in general.
Well, I'm radical enough that I would go in a completely different direction with this, where I would say, like, you're absolutely right, and that's why there should be some regulation over this, and it should be the responsibility of productions to do a certain amount of paid auditions per project, no matter what it is. And the reason we can't have that is because there's no Secretary of the Arts in our country, despite the fact that it is the same percentage of GDP as agriculture and transportation. What the fuck is that about?
Well, good. Well, at least our country is moving in the direction that your policies are aimed towards.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
The thing that I do feel, again, it's like if the industry functioned in a larger scale on Dropout, but Dropout isn't gonna save all the actors coming out of college with these musical theater degrees. And I go like, listen, I didn't succeed in acting, but I think that getting in the room for What Would You Do? I did audition for it ultimately, but that's why I got the audition. I knew the producer. Yeah. But like, if they had to pay what, $25? I mean, fuck, even comedy clubs will fight paying check spots $10. I mean, people will fight. Sure. People will penny pinch. It's called penny pinching for a reason, even if it's pennies.
Sure.
You know,
I think if what you're saying is that like commercial interests will ultimately like dictate how this works if there's no regulation, like I agree with you at the same time as I would say, and I say this to whoever asks a little too much, where my business partners are like, you also have to say that we're moral and nice.
Yeah.
That is also true. There is a commercial interest in being everyone's favorite shop around to work for. Like,
absolutely. I've been singing praises.
100%. We are everyone's. I mean, like, we are a lot of comedy people's favorite shop around. We pay the most out of anybody they work with, you know, in a given month. They pay more than like other professional. We pay more than other professional gigs that they've done.
I had a small part in a network television show, and it was dwarfed.
Yes,
and I was at that show for a week.
Yeah, which is to say, there is a good commercial reason to be that shop. Like, these days we're able to open a lot of doors.
I feel like it's so hopeless within the industry as it is today.
Sure.
I think my insistence then goes to like, you get 2 pages for your initial audition. That's it. Like, I mean, the things.
Yeah.
I mean, and this is, and musical theater people, it really feels like the less money the gig makes, the more they're.
Oh my God, these musicals that they
the whole fucking part.
The 9 scenes. Scenes for.
And then you come and they say, pick which one you want to do.
Pick which one you want to do. And you're like, are you kidding?
Are you doing this all the time?
A good amount for like, you know, like, and I would say some varies from other in terms of like the craziness of it. But I had it was a 4 Broadway show in the summer, and it was 9 scenes, 3 songs. Crazy. For a thing. Crazy.
So I agree with you completely. I just go, I mean, frankly, I certainly I shouldn't talk, but with casting directors sometimes I go, if there were less auditions, I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing, but what there should be happening is those casting directors are supported to go see a lot of theater, reinvigorate the live arts, or you know, Tova, certainly she's a TikTok person, and she can sense talent through the TikTok. And I know there's a trope of bad TikTok people, you know, sucking in real life and getting these weird things, but like I go, you gotta create a space for them to find the talent. Everyone gets lazy about discovering talent and going out and looking for it. Yeah. And especially they rely on institutions like colleges or UCB for a long time.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, instead of UCB fixing all the world's problems, maybe you need to diversify where you're looking.
Yeah. I think the internet has changed this meaningfully, don't you? I mean, I think like platforms like TikTok.
I do, but look at the downside of the internet. The downside of the internet is
everything.
But it can encourage, you know, people who are talented at a specific medium. Suddenly they get opportunities in a different space. I mean, the stand-up comedian list is gigantic of people who shouldn't be doing stand-up, and maybe they'll evolve and they'll figure out something new. But right now they're crowding up a space where my art form could be honed by other people who deserve to be there more. And then people, I mean, stand-up is one of those things where I imagine when people go see Madonna in concert, they're not going, wow, this is my first concert. Yeah. The number of people who come up to me and go, this is my first time seeing stand-up. We are an industry that's constantly being filled with people's first time. And when it's a shitty TikTok person, you're poisoning the market. Yeah. Poisoning the market. Yeah. I try not to think about it too much because I can't control that.
It's almost like all these commercial interests left nothing but their own commercial interests.
Sure, but gatekeepers are important too. I mean, you're not, it's not a sign up to be on your shows.
Certainly not.
So it's like, you know, I think the internet has opened things up, and gatekeepers do need to exist. In a way, comedy clubs, a lot of comedy clubs have given up gatekeeping. It's who can fill it. They've given up their power. Yeah. They might as well be a box.
I do. I mean, I do worry about upward mobility, and part of the reason I worry about it is because if you look at like brands like what was College Humor, there's very few of us anymore. I mean, there's been a hollowing out of the middle class of our industry. So The Onion just got rebooted, and I believe in that leadership team, and hopefully they do great things. It's still like a writer's medium primarily. Funny or Die is like a commercial production company now. Super Deluxe doesn't exist anymore.
And Above Average has sponsored 2 downside runs that have come to a quick end for Amazon.
How about that?
Yeah, I mean, we did it. We did our job.
Yeah.
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 Which is just to say, like, where, and you know, UCB is like no longer in New York. Like, where is that?
Well, they did reopen.
back.
Oh, they did reopen.
Yeah.
I do, just because my girlfriend's company owns the brand.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Your
Good
girlfriend's
space.
company owns
Mosaic.
Mosaic
bought
owns UCB with
the guy who started The Onion, right?
Mike McAvoy, right?
I think so.
And isn't Absolutely also involved now, or is that something completely
They
different?
might be.
All right, we'll cut all this.
Yeah. So the new UCB is great by me.
No, that's great. I'm a
That's
UCB,
questionable.
I'm a UCB defender. I went through all 5 levels of UCB, and I thought it was
Oh,
hugely
we've all-
important to my
yeah,
comedy
I mean,
education.
We all have our, but again, like
Yeah.
for me, UCB, when I was doing commercials,
Yeah.
they said, oh, if you want to get into XYZ office,
Yeah.
you have to have UCB on your that's
Sure.
the only way to be funny. And then UCB, I think, got an outsized onus on like solving diversity in comedy by themselves. And I go, these casting directors have to not just go to this one institution.
Sure.
And I'm
Yes.
especially like I was living in Harlem at the time and doing stand-up comedy with a lot of black comedians who were not in UCB programs, fucking hilarious. And I go, well, the problem is no one's coming to Harlem Nights to see this show right now.
Yeah.
And instead, you've created a shortcut.
Yeah.
And by the way, UCB is reigning in the benefits of being that shortcut, whether they like it or not. Everyone's going to UCB. That's the only way to become a comedian.
You could argue that it's like way too expensive a passport to the industry.
Yes.
Like way too, and increasingly so, or at least it was when I was there. It was like,
And too much of a burden. And then you got to, you're filling up classes and suddenly you can't make sure everyone's good. Do you become a program that cuts people? What do you do?
Well, so then I was going to say, here's what I like about what's happened to the internet as far as like being that passport for a lot of people is concerned. I think like in some ways your passport, in a lot of ways Dropout's passport, like the story of Dropout being successful is kind of the story of social video.
Sure.
Like I don't think enough people are hip to that. Is like you can get attention for cheaper now than you could when I was coming up. Vis-a-vis these platforms.
Sure.
It is more democratic now than it was, at least when I was coming up.
Sure. But here's my argument to you.
Yeah.
Democracy sometimes gets some pretty bad presidents.
You're right. That's why we should get rid of democracy.
Oh, thank God you're here.
Yeah.
Thank God.
I don't know.
What point?
I don't know. That's I listen. I didn't make it through the regular rungs. I'm always amazed. Yeah.
I mean, I owe my career to it entirely. I was village idiot at the New York Renaissance Fair when I started making
Is that true?
internet. Yeah.
I didn't even get a call back.
Up in Sterling?
Up in Tuxedo.
Oh,
Tuxedo. I know Tuxedo. I must have done a
Yeah.
gig in Tuxedo or something.
Yeah. But I think even now, not everyone wants to make internet videos. Totally get that. Not everyone who wants a career wants to make internet videos.
It's hard. I tell them, I mean, God, but sometimes comics, they write me and they say, I don't really want to do social media. What do you recommend? And I go, I recommend you fucking become a doctor. Like, I don't know what you want me to say to this. I don't know what you want me to say to this.
Yeah.
I want to do stand-up comedy. I don't like to touch microphones.
Yeah.
A different thing. I mean, I get it. It's a different mentality. It's certainly a, both, me and Dropout have a lot in common, but we're clip machine, but we are content machines. You're a content machine. You create a platform. And I think about it similarly only in the sense of like, even with this live downside show that we're doing, we've essentially and I'm sure I've been influenced or thinking about the way that you have made improv an ability to be a career and be a brilliant improviser. And I always said it was so sad. Anyone who's seen great improv knows how incredible it can be, and the sadness of it's hard to build a career. Stand up, I can tour, and at the very beginning I can survive because it's just me. Low overhead. You're splitting that with 6 people. You're fucked. And so like I feel like Dropout and some other places now. I see Ben Schwartz has been doing a lot recently where I'm like, oh, you are
one
trying
of my
to
best friends in the world.
Trying to take improv and they're still figuring it out. Like sometimes it's tough with long form improv. How do you make a clip? How do you guide people in? But
this is very funny because I'm coaching him through this process.
Sure. But truly, I noticed it 100%. And I think about like, you know, I know a lot of people don't like crowd work. And I go, I like crowd work. I go like, it's improv. It's the form of improv that I do. I really think of it as I do improv. This show that we're doing now, we've leaned into more improvised bits. And by the way, I know I did it today with my transcript. I have 5 clips from last night's show. That keeps things moving.
So I would tell talent this, you know, even talent on Dropout. I'd be like, you can do a version of this yourself. And they would be like, yeah, you know, but like it's all worked out really well for Dropout. But like, I don't think it would work out for me in a vacuum or whatever it is. And I was like, I wonder if I could recreate this effect in a terrarium. So I partnered with my friend Catherine, who's a really hardworking person who just never found her, her vehicle. And we cracked a web series called Pretty Gay. She started posting. She had no social following to begin with. Started posting clips to her social following, full episodes on Patreon. Now she went from 3,000 to 150,000 followers on Instagram. And the show is profitable on Patreon after 15 episodes. And she is very soon going to start being able to make her complete living from it. No, like
crazy.
Wow.
In a vacuum.
Yeah.
In a total vacuum.
In your free time off Dropout, you are fully producing from the ground up a whole other thing.
It's almost like wandering through a modern art gallery and being like, I could do this. And it's like most people don't. That's sort of the point.
Yeah.
Do you ever think though? There was a time where now to be a comedian, unless very rare chances, unless like your podcast co-host is really like driving the ship.
Yeah.
You have to be you have to be like you, but and because of that.
Yes.
And but in the sense of like, it now feels like you have to be so savvy.
Yeah.
I don't think Chris Farley would have cracked socials.
No way.
I don't think. Who knows? I don't know.
It's not like just a talent thing. It really is like you have to do this. You have to build
or
this thing.
Sometimes,
exactly
furthermore, not even just that, but a chaotic mind that can, in its chaos, produce brilliance.
That is so true. And they're of my crew. They're of Dropout's crew for sure. There are those people. And unfortunately, I think it's having some weird side effects, this, you know, separate and apart from Dropout, right? Because I could say like Dropout is my attempt to take those people and do this for those people.
I can relate to that.
How? Point for me.
Yeah, I'll give you
more like 1,000,000 points for me, actually.
On the one hand, it means like, we're giving birth to a culture of like almost like content creators who are almost better entrepreneurs than they are content creators on the one hand. And on the other, this, again, chasm of there being like zero middle class in the entertainment industry anymore means that those people who are lucky enough to get sucked into that system are just like the tiniest little barnacles on the biggest whale and have no power over their careers. Like no power.
Yeah.
Neither one is great.
I think I sometimes look, I'm not saying if someone said you could be a movie star, I'd be like, no. But I see movie stars and you'll see like the movies that they end up having to do sometimes. And I'm like,
oh my God.
You had to spend 4 months on that?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Also like you'll see posters and you're like, it looks like a 30 Rock poster.
Yeah.
Like, and it'll be a real poster for a movie that no one no one will see that movie.
Totally.
That movie that yeah.
And people assume that actors are getting filthy, stinking rich off of these projects, and they're just not.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I could go on, but let's go on to our next segment. This has got to stop.
This has got to stop.
This has got to stop. This is where we talk about something that needs to come to an end. Big, small, personal, broad. It can be anything. I will go first. We saw the Chicago Magic Lounge. Really good.
Really great.
I went
So
through just like one summer camp where there was some magician. So like I own 2 Tarbell books. So I've been seeing that. I went to Magic Castle recently. I want to do like comedy of the one I thought of today. We complain they always do the like, check the coin. Is it real? Is it fake? Check it as long as you want. And I go, I know it's not the coin, but I do think it'd be funny if you're doing it and then you find a button and it breaks in half and they're like, damn, I didn't think you'd be so thorough.
That's really good. That's really good.
That I thought close-up stage. What about far away magic? Where it's really easy for them to get away with because you can't really see.
Super distant.
They're like, no, it disappeared.
This is your card. Trust me.
Yeah.
And then one where it's like, the card is bent up in an orange and they unpeel the orange and there's like the card and it's not the right card, but he goes, but can we admit it's still pretty impressive? I got that in the orange. Like, here, you do that. You put it back.
That orange. Yeah.
But, and I feel bad saying this, if a magician has a lot of the magic we saw, they now incorporate a phone. And, it's something about like, instead of pick a card, any card, it was hold the phone upside down, scroll, and just stop whenever you want to.
Yes.
And I think I understand the card's a magic trick too, and this, but I go with the internet, it doesn't feel magic. I go, it's a special link that when they click on anything, it goes to this next page.
Yeah.
Sure.
So it's something about, some things just can't be digital.
Yeah.
Frankly, some parts about society that I think eventually we're going to go, this sucks.
Yeah.
We got to start putting phones away.
Yeah.
And I think
there was
with
a
magic,
lot of phones in that magic show.
Yeah, I think the phone, it's just not impressive.
The one thing was very cool. Remember, it blew my mind that when we realized
what time it was.
Yeah. That was cool.
Yeah.
But then all the other phone stuff I was not into. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my disgust stop. Magic and phones. Some things need to be physical.
That's a good one.
Yeah. My disgust stop is I love that there is Wi-Fi sometimes on planes, but I feel either all the way Wi-Fi or some airlines just need to be realistic with themselves. United, you're not going to have Wi-Fi. Just don't offer it. Don't offer it. Don't. And it's a magic kind of Wi-Fi that it can tell you have an email. And the moment you click on that email, you'll never see that.
It's
email.
almost worse.
You're getting notifications.
Yes,
it works for a second. You start, you reply, then it doesn't go through.
And I heard the flight attendant say, "Listen, again, it's crazy that you can have Wi-Fi and blah blah blah."
So it's a sassy flight crew, by the way.
It was, yeah. But I heard the flight attendant say they were asked about Wi-Fi, and he goes, "Yeah, oftentimes it just doesn't work." And you're like, "Why are you broadcasting it? Free Wi-Fi everywhere you look." Like it's like the big selling point for how small and shitty the flight is, but don't worry. So it's just like, I think some airlines, it would just be better if you were just honest with yourselves. United, you're never going to have the ability to have that Wi-Fi. And I think just like let's take it off the table.
And by the way, the fact that if it stops working and you paid for it, you can write them to get your money back.
Yeah.
If the Wi-Fi is out for more than 5 minutes, the whole flight, and I've paid for it, money back immediately.
The whole flight
money back. The whole flight should be free.
I should fly free the rest of my life.
I should get to be the pilot.
Yeah.
You should be trying to get on the flights with the bad Wi-Fi because you're like, ooh, I could get it for free.
Yeah.
Truly though, the fact that they're just certain that you can pay for something and it goes away, and then they're like, well, you can go through a long process to get it back. Utterly insane. Give it back immediately.
Oh, did I tell you? I talked to the pilot on the way from New York to Chicago on Saturday, and because he was like waiting to get on too, like with me.
Oh,
and he was like, it was funny because he was like too, like fun. Like it was like he was like too relaxed. I was a little like, okay, but you're at work now. Like let's take this serious. He's like, are you ready for the flight today? And I was like, yeah. And he goes,
you?
Yeah. And he goes, 2 hours and 29 minutes. Maybe I'll try to do it a little less. Huh? And I was like, yeah. I just was like, I want to be like, okay, but like straighten up. Let's be.
Yeah.
You're gonna fly. It was just a little like I was like, are you?
Professionalism?
Yeah.
I don't want to work today. I'll tell you that.
I got a real case of the Mondays
Can
today.
you do me a favor? Just give me one reason to live, buddy. Just one reason to live.
I was like, okay, well, you're getting on now, so you're at work. So
I'm gonna go by the bar. You want anything?
yeah.
And also give me back my Wii.
Yeah.
What airline?
Great question. I don't remember.
Oh, I would never
Love
forget.
to call them out.
Yeah.
That's something I never forget. 9/11, sure. My Wii missing from the bag. Oh my God. What did that happen on 9/11? You're like, I also had a bad experience
I had
with the
a
airlines
problem
that
today.
day.
You're like calling the thing like.
And even during the 9/11, you're like, I'm not leaving until we talk about my problem too.
Yeah.
What's your This Has Got to Stop?
My This Has Got to Stop is movies being released over years in multiple parts.
100%.
Agree.
I think that we can have like one every handful of years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like there being multiple threads of movies dangling out there and me needing to like remember these like half plots or third plots now and juggling them, it's too much. I can't watch like 2 TV shows week to week.
Yeah.
Sure.
You know? I confuse my Severance and my Silo at that point.
Yeah.
Like come on. Just give it all. Just give it all to
I
me.
agree. And also I feel like sometimes you're like with the actors, you're like, you're still promoting this one thing.
Yeah.
Like you've been promoting that thing for 6 years.
Yeah.
That one story.
When they promote Wicked 2 and we have to
Like,
like go through it again, I'm gonna be like, no,
I'm
fucking
like,
way.
get another
All the
job.
press tour,
like,
all over
Get
again?
another job. You gotta have.
And they're gonna
job.
recreate the finger thing, and I
yeah.
got to hear the riff of Defying Gravity at a Target commercial for a second time. Like, can we keep it special? Can we keep it special?
Yeah.
By the way, I never said this. Got to stop. Save the riff. You can't do the riff everywhere. Then it's not special. They had a Nokia commercial before the movie. It was a green phone and a pink phone. They were doing For Good. I was like, well, there goes the emotional impact of that
also
fucking
these
song.
fucking commercials with like all the actors having to be in, like the SNL cast members just being held hostage by T-Mobile and having to like come and do these iconic characters like in a fucking phone
That's
commercial.
the only way to get commercial work. It used to be you had to go to the UCB. Now you got to be on fucking SNL just to
all
get one
of SNL
fucking
lines
phone
up for a
commercial.
cattle call audition. They're like, who here?
But so I think the only way that's gonna is like something like Wicked Part 2 like bombs, and they go, oh shit.
Perhaps.
I mean, James Cameron fucking caused this shit.
That's the movement we need. But also, if you have 2 parts to a movie, if you need to do that, and I do believe that the culprit here was largely Kill Bill. It was one of the first times this has ever happened where Tarantino went so wildly over budget that they went, the only solution here is to split it up into 2 parts.
I did not know that.
That is true. Is you do 2 movies and release it over 2 months.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really?
No, they didn't. But
they
That's a
yeah.
solution.
That could be a solution.
The idea of going to the theater, I'm a infrequent moviegoer.
Yeah.
And the idea of like going, you'd have to really hook me.
Yeah.
I guess I'd have to. It's kind of you're stuck.
Yeah.
I feel the problem with this is with Wicked is just like the scam of it is before you go, you're gonna like, I better revisit, I better reconnect with the characters, so that when I see them break up, it means something to me.
Yeah.
I hear that. I just think it's. I like an intermission. I mean, why did that disappear?
Ooh,
where you've seen old musicals or old movies where it would be like intermission.
Yeah.
And there's music, and
Didn't
you go.
one of the Oscar nominees have an intermission? I didn't see it, but I think.
I mean, let me
maybe
tell you,
like
when I watched
intermission.
Amelia Perez from Home, there were quite a number of intermissions. There were about 9 intermissions. Did you watch it?
No, I haven't. No.
It is fun to watch. It is crazy.
Yeah.
It's one of the craziest movies I've ever seen in my entire life.
Okay.
The intermissions are just you pausing it and looking at each other going,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there were days between where I'd say, "Baby,
Days.
you ready yet?" No, we need to wait a year before we get to
Let's
part
do one
part
more,
6.
One more traitors. and
There
then
were
we'll go
8
back
parts
to
to
it.
Amelia Perez.
Oh
in
my God.
household. Good, this got to stop. Final segment. You better count your blessing.
You better count your blessing.
You better count your blessing. Russell, do you want to start? Or do you want me to start?
You start.
I haven't done super big editing on the special, but I took like 2 shows I liked, did timestamps, and sometimes when I'm being over dramatic on stage, I fully bend over and I see right at the top of that skull, and that's how I there were moments in the past where my friend Chris, he was the first to say, "Hey, you might want to try some spray." I did the spray. I do it religiously. And I had the shot, and I saw myself doing it. I was like, oh, my God, here we go. High D, 8K. Looking good.
Wow!
Looking good from the top.
That's
baby!
And I truly, I was like, I don't even see it. And I felt really... someone joked, because I announced my Europe tour today, they said, take pictures of him before his Istanbul show.
I know. I saw.
Because they thought that
that's
maybe...
very funny.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And maybe one day.
Spray. You said.
I do the spray.
Spray. Drops.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
That's a company?
No, but I
Do
drops.
drops. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine's Hims. I use Hims.
Sure.
They're a little bit annoying when I need a refill because I lost a bottle. They go, "This is prescription." I go, "Stop it. It's not prescription. This is a fake medication. A doctor did not prescribe me this." Hims. I'd love for Hims to sponsor. If Hims sponsors this and I talk about
they'll
it
sponsor it soon.
after what I just said.
Yeah.
They're like, it's a medication. You say, come on, and then they open up a trench coat.
Listen, doctors do that. My doctor wouldn't give me some sleep medication. I was like, "Doc, come on." And all they have to do is go, okay. There's no laws.
Yeah.
Do you have this kind of blessing?
So I'll try to make it quick, but
You don't have to.
So my dog had a bit. I was in New Orleans for Mardi Gras. With my wife and a lot of friends and things. And then we found out that our dog, who was being boarded, was having, all of a sudden, couldn't walk in his back legs. And so...
Terrifying.
He loves
Terrifying.
his dog. A wonderful
most
dog
people who have a dog love their dog. But
I'm saying like
I'm
you don't...
immediately with you.
you're like, he'll never have children.
No, I just mean it to say like for you, this... Some people go, when I get back from New Orleans, it's going to suck. But you we're moved. You care.
Yeah, I mean, but it was a horrible situation where
This is weird to me.
Yeah, no,
This is not weird to me.
That's
a
weird
weird
that
thing
you
to
think
say.
that.
I just don't have dogs. I don't have dogs. So all I'm trying to say is that he's a lovely lovely
I
person.
appreciate that, but I think most people who have an animal would be like, oh, this
I'm
is a big deal.
immediately like, it's like my child is half
There's
paralyzed.
that governor who shot the dog. And...
Yeah.
There are people who don't like dogs.
The norm of pet ownership. Okay. But basically, it was a really tough decision because it's one of those things where you don't really know. They do the MRI. It's under sedation. You're literally having drinks at a brunch in New Orleans, and you have 2 or 3 minutes to decide, do you want to go forward with this wildly expensive thing?
Join the Patreon again, by the way.
Yeah, please join the page, please. But with a 50% chance that the dog will walk again. You're not sure. God. So all that to say is that he is home now. It was really tough. He's still in throes. I mean, we're not even at a week yet. So he cannot walk. And my wife, I literally had one day at home with him and her before coming out on the Downside tour. And so she's doing all this every 4 to 6 hours, having to move him, and he's in a lot of pain. All the medications, all the things she's having to express his bladder.
Do we know what happened?
Slip disc.
Okay,
but just had to have spinal surgery, kind of thing. Crazy, So, anyways, all this. Nicole, I'm just so thankful for her. She's doing all of it, and she's doing an amazing job. She's sending me lovely updates on him and things like that. But it's fucking intense. And so I'm very thankful for her handling it, really.
Do we know prognosis wise?
No, I mean, it's truly one of those things that best case scenario, some dogs they've seen after 2 weeks or so are moving and kind of and then have to have, you do physical therapy with them at home. Yeah. Some dogs months. It could be
Yeah.
We just don't know. So far right now, he's not giving any signs that he has, but it's been under a week.
Sure.
Yeah.
Wow. God. I mean,
Boof.
all thoughts in your direction.
Thank you.
Do you have a blessing?
Sure. I have been playing a huge amount of this social deduction game, Blood on the Clock Tower, and I'm very grateful for it. And the reason I'm so grateful for it is because I love hanging out in groups of people. I find it very tribal, but I haven't had like a great excuse to do it. And I now have like infected. There's like 3 groups of friends of mine that are infected with this game at this point. So I'm playing it almost every weekend now. Like someone's hosting a game night. It's like us or someone else. I'm just like seeing more people than I've probably seen since COVID, really.
Yeah.
And that just feels really like, all of us kind of gathered around the hearth kind of thing.
Yeah.
Deciding who in
nice.
the village is evil. It feels really, it just feels really like tribally good.
Do you feel like you're getting better?
I do. I think that's one of the things that's satisfying about this game is there's actually kind of a slow mastery of it. It's like very confusing when you first begin. And then like over time, it's like chess. You're like, oh, I'm really starting to see the matrix now. And then when you develop a certain kind of mastery, you can make it more complicated for yourself in a number of ways. And that's fun too.
I can't lie.
You have a hard time with the lying?
I feel my skin feels on fire. I feel like I'm like
really something.
no, I swear I'm the innkeeper.
Yeah,
like I feel like I
yeah.
stiff. I feel like
Yeah.
I like truly and I know I did enough like Texas Hold'em being popular where I was like I don't to bluff. I don't. It feels like I can't, and I understand that doesn't even make sense. But I'm like I feel like when I do it, I'm like. I'm all in.
Yes.
Like it's that obvious.
That's very reassuring about your character. Like I've played with people who are so good at the lying piece.
Sure.
That upon the big reveal, their partners turn to them and go like, "That's disturbing." You know?
Yeah.
And then there's the opposite, which is actually kind of socially reassuring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're bad at the game.
I'm bad at the game.
Uh-huh.
I've never cheated. I think that's partially why.
I'm also not great at lying. My wife Elaine will turn to me often when I'm on the evil team, and she'll be like, "Sam's having too much fun. He's evil."
Yeah.
Is it harder to have your partner at these games because
Yes.
they can see you? Oh,
Yes.
Because at our one, the one that we did with Chris here, there was a married couple, and like. If you told me they got divorced after, I go, oh yeah, we saw this stuff, and they were getting along fine, and maybe they could like raise there and go lower, but like during the game, I was just like, you two fucking know each other, and you're like, it was just intense, and not even in a bad way. And Tova's a better liar than me for sure, and I could see the wrong game being like, what the fuck was that? You couldn't even let me sort of do well. I could see it.
We don't let, or a lot of couples that I play with make the conscious choice not to sit next to each other because they're like, it'll be even harder for me to lie if I'm seated next to you. Yeah.
I hope I get better. I want to see how you do.
Yeah,
I
would love
play
to.
a game. But games bring out like, I've said it before where there was a married couple once. Oh God, I don't know if it's too much. It was talking me through how to play a board game. I'll keep it vague. And as they explained it to me, I was like, this marriage needs to come to an end. Like, it just can bring out the worst.
Yeah.
For sure.
Games can bring out... I always loved Gene Kelly. One of his big injuries later in life, it was because he was playing charades, and he was so mad he broke his ankle stomping it on the ground.
That's so funny.
And I'm like, amazing.
Wow.
What an amazing...
And then he shot all of Moses Opposes Sato's just after that happened. I really the gratitude thing though, that's a very good I wanted to bring up that I have 2 friends, guy friends, and every week, every Sunday, we've been texting each other 5 things that we're grateful for 6 years.
Oh my God.
We have not missed a Sunday.
Okay, now if I pitch that to you, tell me exactly what you'd say.
Assignments from you.
That is...
I'm filled to the brim with assignments.
When you do stuff like that, do you ever feel like, oh, if I had just been Catholic, I could have probably totally like been into that.
Sure.
Like that.
Sure.
That is wild to me.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I have anyone in my life that would do that with me.
Yeah. 2 out of the 3 of us are Jewish.
But you could have been a Talmudic scholar and you would have memorized it. And,
well, this is the miniature version of that.
If it was important to you, I would do it.
That's your version of like, Elon Musk made everyone in the government say 5. I could see like Dropout where like Sam's he's getting too power hungry. Every morning you gotta say 5 things we're grateful for.
Yeah, at the end of every email. Can you imagine?
Sam Reich, where can people find you?
People can find me on dropout.tv and Sam Reich on the socials.
Amazing. Russell, this is coming out April 1st.
April 1st. At Russell J. Daniels on Instagram. And then also two things. We have an Uncle Function show, our 10th anniversary sketch comedy show at the Bell House in New York on Wednesday, April 30th. And then the next night, we will be in Burlington, Vermont for a Downside Live with our special guests, Chris Cafaro and Douglas Goodhart, also from Uncle Function.
Before we get so high for the weekend.
Yes.
It's going to be a good time.
Yeah.
I'm going to be at the Dayton Funny Bone at some point. And look out. Greensboro, Wilmington. This is April 9th through the 12th. Go get tickets. And again, join the Patreon for beautiful live footage. We're really putting our all into this. And these 2 bonus episodes every month. We're building the Patreon. We're giving you special stuff. And know that half of it is going straight to a veterinarian. And it's a good cause.
Happy to hear
a very wealthy,
very wealthy.
I'm assuming. Jesus,
they're getting paid. They're getting half of Patreons all over New York City. And then of course, April Fools, we got you. This was Tim Dillon the whole time. This is the downside.
You could cut it there, right?
Yeah.
Can I see your phone? Because I don't know if this is gonna work.
Oh my God. Yeah, wait, let me get it. I'll keep it rolling. Here you
go. Great. This is unlocked. Oh, do you want to unlock it for me?
Sure.
I'm so nervous.
I'm just gonna open up your calculator here. Calculator app. I think you have to turn it this way. Ooh, there's a big number in here. I wonder why.
Probably from
the Patreon proceeds.
No.
Is there a way?
It's what we owe.
How do I get this scientific calculator? Oh, here we go. Scientific. Let's see here. Oh, damn, no. Okay, you'll have to cut it there. I have a trick I wanted to
Wait,
try.
no, do it.
But he can't.
Let me see if this will work.
It's the exact trick from
now,
the other night.
I think the old version, if he just chucked my phone at the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be incredible.
He just put it into his
And now your phone doesn't work.
It doesn't work. No more phones.
I am so ready for this magician character. I feel like on fire with.
Yeah. Didn't you have a magician bit in a sketch before?
Oh, what a good sketch.
Wait, we did it once.
We did it once. We had 3 beats and the other 2 didn't work, but that one was
the guy who thought
it was so there was it was off. We had him as a guest. What's his name? He does a show on Netflix, and he made someone think they were invisible, and they were actually surrounded by extras pretending he was.
And I was the guy who thought, right?
So no. So in this one, it was me. I was with my new stepdad and mom.
Yeah.
And the magician made me believe that I had become invisible. Mm-hmm. And the moment I became invisible, I just started flicking off my stepfather.
Yeah.
And being like, suck it. And they had to act like they couldn't see it.
It's not going to work. It would have been great. It would have been the perfect button.
Oh, this is the downside.
You're listening to The Downside.
The Downside.
With Gianmarco Soresi.